house is dangerous. It is. Or at least I get my buttons on study hall. This is Fun University Study Hall number 15. We'll be starting here in just a minute. We will be talking about red, yellow, and purple, or violet. This is going to be fun. I've got a couple cards for you to enjoy and some other ideas to share and discover. How are you guys? Come on in. Come on in. My live chat hasn't started yet here. So I know you're out there. I see you. Hey, clear in the back row. Hi, Susan Smurf. How are you? You have been spreading lots of cheer on our Facebook group. Thank you. Hi, Christina. Good morning. Sleepy time. Hi, Patty Beck. How are you? It's good to have you. I want to see who's here, and then we'll start it up. I don't know. What'd you guys think of those the red, yellow, and purple parameters? I've got some ideas that might help you in the future if you get some cockamamie thing like that, or from some cockamamie person. Don't look that word up, Christina. It's not worth it. Cockamamie. I don't know. It's probably okay. It's Cockamammy, maybe? I don't know. Got me. Cockamamie. It's a good one. I think I've got high 5K. Sneaking back into you'll see. I know it feels like it's been a long time since we did this. This is the first one of the month, I think. And so it has been a long time. I think we missed 2 weeks. Hi, Andy. Hi, Judy. It's been a beautiful day here, too. It was just gorgeous. Kerwin went to his vet visit. He's good. He's healthy. He weighs over 10 pounds. We weren't quite sure because he wiggled so much. But he just did a good job. I thought the colors were good together, too, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. It's probably why I put them together. I don't know. I don't know why. When I'm putting the parameters together, sometimes I don't know what I'm thinking. Probably nothing. I'm good at that. Who can think of nothing? Hey, Lee Kendall, how are you? Lee Kendall was in my dream the other night. We were crafting. She was having so much fun. I'll be right back. Hi, I'm Mary Gunn. Welcome to Fun University. I'm Mary Gunn Fun, founder and head professor of Fun University. I should probably just do that when I hit the go live button and then start talking about how we are going to go live here in a few minutes. So Grandma Gay's here. She showed up too. Fall colors, exactly. Tonight, study hall number 15. I renumbered them. That was 15 from when we started on YouTube. I don't even know how many study halls we did when we were on a private site, but doesn't matter. We had, on Craft Roulette last Friday, episode 77, we had the colors of red, yellow, and violet, and they were kind of odd. They were the colors were familiar from Fun University. We did talk about a lot of color theory when we were in a private group, and I think we learned a lot. But anyway, so that the combination it was a little bit of a challenge, a little more than a challenge than like an analogous group like yellow, green, blue, or red, yellow, orange, something like that. And it was definitely, it wasn't quite a complement, and it wasn't, well, almost, and it wasn't quite a split complement, it wasn't quite a triad, it was, or any of those other little things. So it was kind of an odd little combination, but I've got some thoughts on it, and I'm going to share them with you tonight. So let's get down to the paper. Thank you so much for being here. Fun University, we are here the first 3 Tuesdays of the month, 6:30 Central Time for study hall, and then we are here the first 3 Thursdays of the month for class or Cards Plus. And this month we're working on postcards, which is fun. This is the old color wheel. So we had red, and we had yellow, and then we had violet. So we, if we'd had red, if we had yellow and violet, we would have had complements, but then we throw this guy in, and it was just a little bit of a twist it turned out just fine. It looked like sunset colors. It looked like fall colors. Actually is a very, very beautiful combination, and it was perfect for this time of year, being that they were changing. Couple things just to note right off the top of the idea of the hour here. You could use any of these shades underneath those colors. So if you had a violet, you could just use a soft tint of a violet, or you can go deep like a shade of a violet, and you could have actually used it for a shade and it would have been just spot on. Red, you could have, this is a very bold red, and I think a lot of the intensity that we saw this week was because we were using full-blown color values, and they're too much sometimes. So stomping them down or lightening them up, it really makes a big difference on what ends up happening. So red, we could have used some pink or some more of a burgundy, and that would have been just fine. Yellow, again, the intense yellow is, dang, it's intense. What can you say? So that was something that was a little, maybe, you have to discover these things as you go along. Another thing is, if you were trying to blend and you blended yellow with violet, well, those are complements. And so when you put those two suckers together, you're going to get a beautiful shade of MUD mud. So if you, but you could blend the yellow and then red and violet. Maybe some people figured that one out by trial and error. That's too bad. But, it's all learning and it's all fine. So I was going to show you a couple more cards that I had made, but those are just some things right off the top. If you do have some situations and you're going, man, this is just crazy in your face, or this is boring, just go ahead and use another value, at least on one of the colors that you're using, and then see if something feels a little more better. We're going to have some other things that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit for other ways you can do things like that. There was the card that I made. I ended up, after the show, putting this little guy on because I really thought that helped. And then I put his wings. That's not really violet. It's not the right color. It's more of a red violet, and I cheated. But it turned out okay. I think it was pretty cute, actually. And then I ended up putting some little red flowers. I don't know if I had those on Friday. And put a little white center and a couple dots. It didn't have to be this bright, but I was changing my mind about as fast as the leaves will change here in about a month. So that's how it goes. Couple other cards I made during the week. This one I did make during the show also. They were very flat. I added some, you can see all the addings. I added some white marker and added some, I think, alcohol markers to give some different definitions. Some paint, I don't know, and some Nuvo drops to give it a little bit of this and that. This was my little ombre. Remember, when you got the 4 parameters, you don't have to, not every parameter can be the star. You have to decide who's going to be the star of those parameters, or you're going to have quite a lot of competition going on, which will be a sad thing for you oftentimes. Here's my little tag. It was just a little vellum tag with Be Creative, and I had a butterfly stick in there. He's pretty dumb and kind of lost in space there. But anyway, it was okay. Ended up putting it through the embossing thing to give it a little interest. It was kind of lacking somehow. So that was that card. Went ahead and was going, yes, these are so totally fall colors. So I made a couple leaves out of it. And then these here's my gradient right here. How did I do that? I think it's just stress oxides, and then I think I just made them with ink. Yep. And then this is Nuvo drops, and I ended up spreading some Nuvo drops just for a little bit of something there. And I think that looks okay with this background with the browns and everything because it's fall. And Be Creative, it turned out cute. There's that little guy. I just love these little guys. They're just the things I got at Staples. And then I've colored them. I saw on Lollapalooza or something, I can't remember. She had made, took them off and then added Nuvo drops, and I haven't tried that. But I thought maybe it would work just on there. It's a little sketchy. They end up having little slop around them. So if you don't mind the sloppy edges, might be something you want to try. But they kind of rolled off. Maybe that was user error, but I couldn't keep it on the ring. So I don't know. Maybe you make a little puddle and you dip it in. I don't know. And then let it dry on the release paper. There's something there. There's some kind of fun stuff going on. And I think that we could have some more fun. But I did use it here. And by the by, we used to have a product at Close to My Heart that I absolutely adored, and we all loved it, and we all had crushes on it, and it was a waxed thread. I was at Michael's the other day, and in the sewing section on the wall of curiosities and wonderfulments, they had waxed thread by Art Minds. Now, this is not as thin as the old product was, and it's not as waxy as the old product was, but it's something. And so I got, look how big that is, like $3.99 or something. So I got a lot. It's made in Taiwan. That's a long way away. But it's a good little, I loved Waxy Flax, and I still mourn the day when I think about it, that the day that it disappeared. But it just has a little bit of wax on it. See? It holds its shape a little bit. It's cute, cute, cute. And I got black and brown. Pretty basic. I can't remember if they had anything else. But this card, I think it turned out kind of pretty. So, don't need that. Come on. Oh, now it sticks. Yeah, great. Good. That turned out kind of pretty. This one did not turn out pretty, but it turned out interesting. So maybe somebody will like an interesting card. This was the diaper fold that I showed because we were talking all baby stuff. This is the black Waxy Flax. Same colors, and ended up with a little tag that pulls out, and the bee just has the glue under here, and so he's loose on the bottom, loose on the goose, and he just slips right in there. I don't think I could salvage this with these colors, but I tried, and it's not the worst. It's kind of artsy, actually, but it's kind of weird at the same time, and that's okay. So that was that. It got done. It got done. It didn't go into the trash can. Ended up making a long one using watercolor. No, I didn't either. I put this on. This is also the Distress Oxides, and I put them on something and just flopped it over and picked up the color like a watercoloring with it. And then I have some metallic paints, watercolors, and I just put some gold on there. I think it looks kind of pretty. Dolled them, gave them a little more definition, added some white to their wings, and it turned out kind of pretty. And to have some stamps on there and some splatters and my new black Waxy Flax. Anyway, I thought that this was kind of pretty. And so here's the example though. We've got the violet and yellow, and they didn't really come together to make a nice mud. And then where I have muddy kind of, it's got the gold on it, so you can't really see it. And then yellow into red. So it's a blending problem, but turned out just fine. So those are I kept at it because it was just kind of a challenge, and I wanted to enjoy that challenge a little bit, and I did. So it was fun to see everybody's bees, what all they came up with to decide to use for their bee, something that starts with B. I love those. If you have looked at the parameters this week, I have changed that to something that starts with, guess what? C. kind of predictive, but at the same time. Okay, so blending these colors. We just talked about the whole thing of the two things that go together, making sure that that works. There's a gazillion videos on how to blend Distress Oxides, and so I'm not the be all and end all. I've not done it that often, but the one thing I hear often is to use Strathmore Bristol smooth surface paper. So the smoother the better, I hear. Some people think that you need to work on something slippery like what glass or something. I'm just not going to worry about things that much. There's bigger things to worry about. So I just have a piece of scratch paper. I've got my few Distress Oxides that I have. I'm looking at that color wheel again. I'm going, okay, yellow and violet. Well, I don't really have violet, but this is the only color purple I have. And it's more of a red violet. So yellow and violet, I don't want to put those two together. Those are going to mud up on me. So I'm going to go light to, or the light yellow, then red, and then violet. And I'm just, I did it earlier with my sponges. And I think I don't have the dome sponges, so I think I'll do it with these guys this time. And we'll just see how it turns out. So we'll start with mustard seed. You know all the tricks, I'm pretty sure. You could probably tell me 5 tricks right now. But we're going to come off the edge and come onto the card. Now ombre is when you have color gradients. Well, to me, if you start with a light color like yellow, it's lighter than purple, the color gradient's going to be fine. So we can also do a color gradient just with one color. So let's see what that looks like. When you're going to do a beautiful one color gradient, oh my gosh, I thought that card, if you want to open up your second browser, if you can, and go to craftroulette.live episode number 77 and look at the cards that are in there. If you look at Ashley Young's, I was going, man, you did such a great job. I want you to help us out on knowing how to do this. And she said, well, it's actually pattern paper. So, darn, I thought we had a shoe-in for a good lesson here, but nope, didn't turn out. So there's a couple things that you have working with you or to consider when you're doing a gradient. One is the saturation of your tool, the smoothness of your paper, but also the heaviness or lightness of your hand. So, okay, so here we've got this guy. We just loaded him up. If we put it right here, we're going to have a darker, and a heavy hand. All of a sudden, we're going to have a heavy spot. So you don't want that. So you come in at the edge, and then as you lose ink, you lighten your touch. And so that you start to get this beautiful, beautiful gradient going on. See how it's getting a little lighter? Yep, that's how it works. And then you just keep going a little lighter. You do have to, gotta think, it's kind of awful. But you do have to pay attention because if you get forgetful and then come in with a heavy hand or a loaded brush, then you're going to have a very sad moment. Or not necessarily a sad moment, but a moment where you go, I got to reconfigure this. It's kind of like when you're driving with, what is that thing? A GPS thing. Recalculating, you just have to recalculate if you muff it. But see how it gets, maybe you can see how it gets lighter. So I've got a nice little light thing. I think we'll just forget this guy because he's not real. Here, I'll show you in just a second how I did make him more violet. But I did watch a thing by Jess Bellis, Frost Bellis, I can't remember. And one thing that she said on her tips for this was to mark on your scratch paper to make sure you know if you're going to be precise on this, where you want your colors to be changing. Another thing that Ardith always says is if you don't have a good blend, just add more ink and just keep adding more ink. And so that's a couple things maybe that might help. And I think the paper is just incredibly important. So if you have really smooth paper, unless you know, if you want some texture, that could be a whole, you just wait. You just wait. That will become a thing. And I have something else I need to do here. I need to get my little, I have ink on here. Which side? This is just a piece of acetate. And I've got some ink on it. And it keeps me from getting my fingers all over it. It also makes the paper sometimes slide. So, but you just wait. There'll be a time where all of a sudden we're going, oh, we want texture. We want texture. Texture. Texture, texture. That's what we want. So they'll be using bumpy watercolor paper. But then they'll make a special paper for it and probably some dyes and all the things that have to go with all those things. So we'll just come right up to that nice little soft line. I have gotten softer. And so the center should be pretty gentle. You can do this with a domed foam tool, or you can do it with a flat tool. Just remember, lighter hand when you want a lighter color. We'll start blending these guys together. See if I still have some ink on here. I do. But I don't have much ink, so I'm going to use a little heavier hand. Come back in here. That is very, very pretty. You just can't do this. You just can't do this with other inks as well. The other thing, when you're doing a gradient, another way to do gradients is haloing, and that's what I call it. But make sure you're going both ways when you do that, and we've done that before in classes and whatnot. So, do we want to? I don't think I want that much more red here. Anyway, I could do this. You could do this a long time. Juicy stamp pad is another thing that they say is important. These are fairly new, so they better be juicy, dadgummit. And then if you have a darker version of a color too, you can come back in. I think, you know, let's just try something. Yeah, I don't have a really good dark red. I was going to try a dark red and something else, but I don't have one. So that's kind of pretty. Turns out pretty. Another thing you can do then, because they're distress oxides, and you well know this, you can just clean these off by getting pretty much by that. I don't ever wash them. Maybe someday, but there's lots of other things I'd rather do besides wash brushes. So you can just, this is one way to just get them cleaned off a little bit. I'm sure there's others. There will be things to come out to wash on. Oh, this would be pretty cut up. We may use that. Oh, by the way, did you notice yesterday on that fun little extra challenge from the patrons, this little guy down here, did you like that? Hey, Jamie in the back seat. Thank you, Miss Patty. These little strips were made from photograph scraps from the scrapbook game that we played last month, and so I didn't use them, and so I just glued them down real well and just cut little tiny strips and altered them a little bit. There's Boomer's little feet. I hope there's Mr. Gunn's phone, and I don't know. I don't know. There's a cloud. There's Boomer's tail. Anyway, so it turned out it's kind of a fun little technique. I didn't think the card itself was all that fab, but it was a fun little technique. Oh, kind of stuck. There we go. Oh, because we were shut with some washi tape. So that was how that turned out. Anyway, kind of fun. Okay, so that's just some real basics on making a little bit of a gradient. Then you can, this is water reactive, so you can put some water on there and let it set a moment, blot it off, and you'll get dots. You can put the Avery shimmer spray all over it. It's always great. You can test to see if it's dry by putting embossing powder on it. If it's not dry, the embossing powder will stick on there and you won't be wanting to put some embossing image on there yet. So that's just a test too. So you don't want to start embossing on here until you know that this is all dry. It sits on top of the paper a little longer, and it doesn't sink into the paper as fast as a dye ink will do. And that's why on dye inks that it's so hard to get it to blend out. It just whack, and then you've got that spot. You did realize that, Grandma Gay? You're an exceptionally astute person. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so are you ready to look at some of these cards? Let's look at, I'm going to pull mine up, and we're going to look at, did you know that craftroulette.live also has several other things? Right here is under Mary Gunn Fun. There's a lot on here. There we go. I'm going to pull up 77. Go to gallery. Hope it works. Good, good, good. Okay, so a couple things that you can keep in mind so that you don't have these colors when they're this intense bug you. One thing that you can do is, let's look through here. Decide a main color, whether it's the yellow, the red, or the violet. Decide which one is going to be your main color in your card and let that guy take over, unless you're going to do the background like that, such as this little guy by Terry Wygand. You can tell her main color is purple or the violet. It takes main stage, and she didn't try to keep equal amounts of the color. She went ahead and just used that as the be all and end all to, oops, that didn't work so well, to that little guy. So that's something to keep in mind. Here we go. Well, that didn't take long. You can use less saturated hues. We talked about that, such as Ava's. If you look at Ava's little chick there, she used less saturated hues, so it's not as loud and demanding. She's using a little red violet too. It's hard not to use. Close My Heart does not have a good violet, and I have mostly Close My Heart inks, and while I was buying inks, maybe they do now, I don't know. But when I was buying inks, they didn't have a good violet. So I have a lot of red violets, lots of different, 3 of them right now that I can see, but no great violet. So I know she works with Close My Heart too, so that's why she used red violet. But she definitely has, that's going to be a little bit more important. She's got a little dot of red there and some yellow working on there. So you can use less saturated tones. You can use, okay, here's one. This Danica Burlingame, she used not real saturated. Well, the red's really saturated, but this yellow is more of a shade. It's not a bright primary hue. So that's another way. Mix them up. Use some muted tones. Use some tints. Anything that whenever you use these guys on the outside, it's going to bring a level of cartooniness to it. And not cartooniness, but like that bam, pow, Batman kind of thing going on. Separate your colors. Like, yep, she separated her colors there too. Separate your colors. Not a good example, but this is a good example of using a lot of white. Miss Maddie Burlingame, who is one of our younger contributors, she used a lot of white. Did I use a lot of white on anything? I don't think I did. Yes, I did. This card has a lot of white on it. So the colors aren't, you look at them because they draw your eye to them, but there's a lot of white that just lets your eye relax a little bit. So use some white space if you have some intense colors to deal with. Use a matte if you have intense colors to deal with. This is not the right example, but it does have a matte. We've got this little black mat around it, and it does separate the colors a little bit and focus and frames it a little bit to make it nice. Definitely had we have the white space to separate the colors here. And this looks weird, you know, it's kind of a harsh combination, that yellow and purple together. But you've got the white right after it, so it works out okay. But it's a little harsher. Use neutrals. Let's see if we can. This one has a lot of neutrals. Let's see if we can find a neutral. I thought this will be a great. Oh, there's a familiar one. That was just plain fun. There's a lot of neutrals in this one, and so the colors are muted. So that one worked out for Gina Smith really well. She used a lot of neutrals, and she has the main color as the yellowy gold, but she uses she's got them separated, and she's using very muted versions. These are great. Here's one. Kay Wearer used a lighter shade. She used all tints to be in her background. You don't have to use them as background either. You can use them as the flowers. There was one there. There you go. There's a background that's yellow. We've got just spots of purple. This is a new contributor, Dottie S. But she did a great job of pulling in the color. She really did a good job. That was her first submission. Anyway, you can look through those, and you know, you can start to look through those and learn from them. It's really cool that way. Use different quantities, use white space, use neutrals, use less intensity, use mattes to separate them and subdue the interaction. Use as accents. Why not just have yellow and red and then pop in a little purple gem? That works too. It all works out. It's really fun. Here is a sample of watercolors, the right colors, but they're much more subdued because they were watery. They were watered down. So I thought we'd try to see what we could do with this one. I've got just some leaves here. I don't know what to do with them, but I'll probably stamp them. What a good idea. Jeepers. Been doing this long? Yeah. So, okay, what are our options here? Couple of our options, just doing all those things that we just talked about. We can use some neutrals. I don't know if that's really necessary for this. We could use tone on tone. We could stamp the yellow on the yellow and the red on the red. And that would pop it up, and you could even do some mixing of the colors if you want to do a whole bunch, or you could do like an area. If we just, yeah, let's try that. Let's try that. That sounds kind of fun. Let me find some scrap paper. I've got about a gazillion piles of it. That's a gazillion and not one zillion less. There we go. Let's just see how this works. Okay, buddy, you stick down here because I don't need your attitude moving around, and you're already kind of buckly. Let's get you up here a little better. All right. Let's get you situated here. And we'll give it a little more personality. Ooh. Quite a bit more personality. How's this? How do these continents go together? They don't have to. I guess they go. There we go. Do we want them going together? They don't need to go together. The continents have shifted. There we go. Now, let's see. Let's just use a little darker tone than what we have. Start off the process. I don't know what this is going to look like. But you know, I've got this little red here, so it's going to be kind of, I want it a little darker. Maybe this one will work. A red tint. Okay, I am just going to put the bottom part of it in the red tint. Oh, it worked out better than I thought. So then, let's keep at it. And go. Now next one we're going to mix it with this. Mix it with one of these little purpley things. See, that's a red violet. Now they do have, I will say they have a violet tint, but they don't have a good violet basic color. That's okay. It's okay. I've lived fine without it. I've lived better with it. I've lived fine without it. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of ink on that corner. There we go. Oh, wrong color. Recalculating. It's okay. It's okay. It's just fine. What we also can do with that is we can color those in if we want with some pencil or something else. Well, that's less than dramatic. That's less than interesting. It was supposed to be better. It wasn't. Eh, it was an experiment. Let's see what we can do. Maybe I can fix it. Maybe I can fix it. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Yay, doesn't have to be perfect now, does it? There's that crazy thing. What do we do with you, trouble causer? Guess I need to study some more halls. There we go. Maybe I just do a couple more of these and make it a little better. Sure. Just do them all. That's kind of groovy. I guess I could use another stamp too. See how we can use the color on this? We use the gradient and we didn't get any mud. It's lovely that way. And we're using a darker tone on a lighter tone. And it's lovely. That works nicely. Yeah, twist my hand just right. Okay. I think the bottom is done. Maybe a couple more in that one. I've got another project over here. I'm really living dangerously because I could just reach over and put this dirty ink on there and give myself a problem. Well, I'm glad these aren't any smaller. It would take me too long. So yay. There we go. This would be, you can do more with this. I'm just not sure what. And since it took longer than I thought, I don't want to mess with it. But there's a good start. This is a little bit bigger than a card too. So looky there, that would just be fine, wouldn't it? Just stick a hole in that, cut the corners off, and we'd have a tag. We are obviously, the dogs think we are under siege. It's probably by a 25-pound French bulldog. But you can do, okay, so now what do we do with this? So then we can bring in a gel pen and do an outline if we want. Or, you know, this would be fine by itself. This doesn't look good on here. So this might be the only one. But, you know, experimenting is so good. Because it might lead you to something else. Yep, that is not effective, so we will forget. But that would be a pretty card. I'm not so absolutely convinced that was a bad idea. So that's card 1. Here we go. Card 2. Card 2 is a 2-part card. I did blend those beautiful colors. Let's see what it looks like all blended together. We'll pop these guys back in. It's, you know, you can make puzzles from things like this. Let's just put these back in here and show you how pretty it was. I was actually very pleased with this. I thought it turned out real pretty. And these were these 3 colors, the Distress Oxides. But this Seedless Preserve was not blue enough for me. So I brought in some Faded Jean to make it a little darker. And that's how that works. Okay, so there you can see how pretty that gradient is. Isn't that pretty? It looks like a sunset, doesn't it? It really does. I think it's gorgeous. So we can use those leaves, cut those out. I just cut them out willy-nilly, no sense at all. We can put those guys over to the side for another card. And then we can bring this guy right along with a little bit of glue. And he can be a card front. I don't know how big this is, but I got a little glue baby there. Got a little booger there. Okay, then I went ahead and cut the shapes again, just out of white, so that I got the texture. Because I thought, oh, I could just color in. I can just draw those in, and thought, no. It took just a little tiny second to go, no, that's a bad idea. So we went ahead and just recut it in white. And then it becomes a nice little puzzle piece again. But totally pretty. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. I was never very good at puzzles. I found myself thinking about buying a jigsaw puzzle the other day. For a moment, it was about the same length of time when I went, no. And that's foolishness, you crazy woman. You would hate it. You would rather be in here doing this. So there we go. And then we've just got a little, I didn't make it a tag. I could, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just trim it. So does this get you guys thinking again that maybe these colors, reworking these colors, you could do it the other way, so you have the heavy color at the bottom. Whoops. And then you're not going to miss anything. You could put some little gems on here if you had some little pretty clear gems would be pretty, or some iridescent gems or something would be really pretty. And that's a pretty fast card. Yep, it made a big difference, didn't it, Grandma Gay, to bring in a little more blue. Just changed the whole idea there. See how light that is? Just didn't work at all. Okay, so now we've got these guys. And I did cut some little flowers. And I thought, well, they're kind of pretty. Maybe we can, I don't know what we're going to do with these. I may not do anything right now. I may just do a cluster of them, a couple clusters. Stick them on a tag. But see, okay, so you have these guys together. What happens because we have no contrast? It's still pretty. Ombre was just, I think that's how I describe it, Andy. I don't know. It's just a color gradient. I think ombre is a light to dark kind of thing. That's how I understood it, but I could be all crazy. But right here on Fun University, that's what we're going to call it. So if you, let's see what happens when you put in a little bit of white. Then you get more definition. I'm not sure it's prettier. Those are pretty right now. But you could also edge these a little bit with something darker. And then that might make them poke up a little better too. But they may just be pretty enough all by themselves. A little white flower, maybe with a little, oh, I was going to use the center of, grab something off here, but I used that for a card. Well, la-di-da. Could we make him a little yellow? A little yellow flower? With a white center, that might be kind of pretty. No, that doesn't work. You gotta have the, you gotta have the thing on it. It is a lot of it is blending, Andy, but it's blending with a certain idea of lighter and darker, as I understand it. Getting fingernails into this one. Well, he's kind of cute. Wonder how to fix that guy up so he's so darling. He needs a little white center or something, doesn't he? I don't know. Let's try. I think they're just a little bit too undefined. I don't know. Maybe, it's just a piece of paper. If we just go along from the back. And that's why we're doing it from the back, because it go off grid, then you're not going to go off grid on the pretty front. As likely. I'm not sure if this is going to make any difference at all. So this would be using the gradient colors as the part of the elements, not just the background, because you've got different parts of the card. Always remember you have different parts of the card to deal with. Sometimes you get a parameter and it seems like it screams background, or it seems like it screams focal point. But think, while you're making your cards, think it through and see if there's a different way that you can use those parameters. Maybe they can be used as a embellishment instead of a main focal point or a background, or even do things on strips of paper or fabric or ribbon. You can always pull in different substances too, as long as it fits within the parameter. You can use them in different ways. It's really fun. And I just love seeing what you guys come up with every week. Stick it on a tag instead of, or a circle instead of a rectangle. Use a medium that you don't usually use. Add a stencil if you don't usually stencil. Oh dear, I don't know if this is a good idea. But it's just paper. Yeah, it's not great. I'm kind of messed up on that. Gotta go back to the back. Can't do the side. And now I'm committed. But I think we might get a divorce right there. I think we're done. I don't care for what's going on there. So let's see if we can get a card base. What do we have over here? Ooh, would it work on a gatefold? Let's see if we can do it in gatefold. Is that a gatefold? Kinda. Okay, so if we did a little strip of something there, don't have any, we're not breaking rules here. Need something there, maybe just you know, one of those. You know, 2 of those. Let's see. Maybe a little blendy here. A little stencil blending. Oh, me and my fancy masks. Really getting down tonight. I don't even know if that's straight, but I think it's close. Is it? I can't put it on the card because I could have taped the card down. Details, details. But can't really do that with the card. Now I'm going to go ahead and use a gray that is not going to be on Bristol paper, and it's not going to be, this is going to be dye base instead of the Distress Oxides, and we'll just see how it looks. I'm just going to go back and forth. But I'm still going to come off this edge there. And the top. I think I may have gotten underneath a little bit. Blast it. See how it's smudgy? It's not creamy. That's the big diff. The big diff. I think we'll try this, but I'm just making sure that I have this line looks pretty straight to me, so I don't have to worry about it being too crooked. There's always a chance. I don't want it to be too defined either, so that's just fine. We'll see how this works. May not work at all. May looks bad, but no, so far it looks okay. Oh. I have another happy birthday here. Maybe get it up above. And I want a little white circle there. You know what I might use is one of those little circles. I tell you, though, come in so handy. Where'd those darn little white circles go? I got a whole package of reinforcement labels. They're permanent. Wonder how long permanent means. There it is. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Maybe some pretty thread. Pretty thread would be a lovely idea, but I don't seem to find any. Black thread seems a little too gross. Maybe a black dot for his little flower center, though. I think it's going to turn out to be an okie dokie card. Is it going to be a showstopper? Don't think so. But it's okie dokie. There we go. Yep, that's looking pretty good. I like it. Okay, so now how are we going to put you guys all together? We've got an opening right here. So, you know, I'm going to do something kind of stupid, but we're going to go ahead and see if it works. I am going to go ahead and just put some glue right here on the base. And put this guy on first. And this guy is going to go on, we're going to bring him up a little bit. This guy's going on second, and I can see where he's going to be. He's going to be all over here. Oh my gosh, those dogs are just keyed up. They're like nuts. And then this guy is going to go on last, and he can have quite a bit of glue on him because he won't be touching the other side. I want him down here in that purple more. And then this little guy can go right there. He'd be nice popped up. Come, come, let's pop you up, little darling. Where's the stuff you pop up with? Okie doke. Oh, trouble with sound? No, maybe I was just not talking loud enough. Can you hear me now? I think everything's okay. It looks like it. I probably was just talking like softly. You know, blabber talking me. Sharon, you know me, blabber blabber. I'm just putting a little foam under here. Just cute as can be. Okay. We want to, now here's a tricky part. How are we going to do this? I guess he wants to open this way. So I want that leaf showing as much as possible, but I don't want it sticking down there. So, okay. I'm going to put glue over here. I think I was deep in my glue thoughts. I bet you're tired. Oh, you hit mute. Well, I can't help that, Sharon. You hitting mute is not something I could do. There we go. There we go. And so there you go. I did get a little glue here. That's okay. We'll just let it dry. Well, just let it dry, let it dry. And that can be trimmed too. So we're good. So we got a little gatefold card. That turned out kind of pretty. Let's see, is he going to squitch? Ooh, I like that up a little bit better. Yep. And then maybe a couple little doodlollies here and there. And, you know, we may have ourselves an okay card. Thank you, parameters. Once again, who knew that something that seemed so a little bit difficult turned out to be pretty darn inspiring. Oh, don't like that. Off you go. You're not in the right place. You're got maybe. Oops. Oh, maybe, baby. Maybe, baby. Maybe you can pull the eye up a little better over here, huh? What do you think? Oops. I've got that. You know, that could be the third one, I suppose. Let's just use that as the third one. The third eye. All right. Okay. Oh, I didn't know you had a mute button on the window either. I have a mute button. And I used it earlier, but I did turn it back on. Okay, so we've got that. We've got this little pretty that just needs to be trimmed down. And, you know, I might do a little bit, I might do a little watercoloring on to make those a little darker. And then we've got this pretty. So there, that's some idea and a whole list of ideas to use difficult colors. It's kind of like a list of how to deal with difficult people, but with colors. So how to, but they're not that difficult. They're fallish and sunsetty, and I think everybody did a great job. But I wanted to talk about it just a little bit because it was a good opportunity to talk about colors and what to do with those troublemakers. Bless them. Black border. Black border where? Black border. Black border. Here? This is too big right now, so I'm not sure. It could even be cut into several strips and made into several cards. Yup. Yeah, it is pretty graphic, isn't it? Yeah, both of those look. This one looks like something Ardith would have made. So, oh man. All right. Very good, very good. Let's give a big old shout out. Thank you to our patrons for their work. I make them work, I'm telling you. Making them work, picking out some vetoes and all those kind of things. You just never know what I'm going to make you do. But it is a fun group if you are interested in knowing the behind the scenes to Craft Roulette. You know, everybody on all levels, fun friends, fun supporters, and Club Fun all get to be in on Craft Roulette. I think that's what the Crafter Math, I think that's one of your favorite things that we do. Mr. Producer and I talk about it. Because you guys never get to hear Mr. Producer. But we have a nice little chat about the show. It's pretty fun. Thank you. You keep us on the air, keep us free, and I love it. Not square enough. Yeah, I know, it was not quite square enough for Ardith. She is such a square. Such a square. But we do thank you. Let's see what she means. If this was square, it would have been more Ardithy. But color-wise, it was pretty Ardithy. Ardithy. That's a pretty good adjective, you know? I think I can doll him up too. I can pretty him up. Very good. All right. Thank you. Mwah, 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 mwah. You know, I don't do that often enough. I feel better after I do it. I do, honestly. That's the weirdest thing, isn't it? But it's, he has a nice voice. He sings real well too. Doesn't sing often, but he does have a pretty singing voice too. So thank you for spending some time with me. I hope that opened up some ideas for you on knowing how to use colors and make them stand out and work for you instead of have them boss you around. There are ours to subdue. And we're good. Study hall is successful. Yeah. That's good because I didn't really start working on it for quite a while. Well, I'll talk to you Thursday. Take care. Stay safe. Love y'all. Bye-bye.